toperera vana vatotangira ivavo
uzopinda muground vanhu vase
live.
Very good morning and welcome back to Harare Sports Club. It's day 2 of this Zimbabwe Intra-squad practice match, Northerns versus Southerns. Day 1 yesterday saw lots of wickets falling. The Northerns winning the toss, electing to bat first. 235 is what they put on the board. Wesley Madevere, 60 from him from 71. Milton Shumba looked good for his 58. Richmond Tumbami scored quickly for his 45 from just 52 balls. And it was William Mashinge who did the damage to the middle order with 5 for 43 in just 11.3 overs. Ryan Bell also chipping in with just 3 for 30 from his 8 overs. In reply, the Southerns, they lost their opening batsman Caetano early. Scored well for them in that first game. Wasn't to be this time around. Dismissed for 4 by Richard Ngarava. Tarim Sakanda, 64 from 93. He's still at the crease, of course, and will be taking first strike this morning. He's joined by Ryan Bell, who's been very patient and nonchalant about his approach to his innings. 37 from 77 balls. Another overcast morning at Harare Sports Club. Not much movement for the Seamers yesterday morning. Throughout the day, actually. We'll be hoping that there'll be a little bit more assistance for them. Out there, nice little breeze. Coming from a westerly direction across the stadium. There were 2 slips in a gully to start off with. That already has changed. Just the 1 slip first up this morning. 2 men catching in front of the wicket. Short extra cover on the offside. Catching mid-wicket on the onside. It's going to be Ernest Masuku first up. Full. No full toss. Sakanda gets off strike first thing this morning. Moves on to 65. Two standing umpires in this game. I know Chubby, who is the on umpire for this first over of the morning. He's partnered by Foster Mtizwa, former Zimbabwe international. Slip gully, short catching, silly mid-off for Ryan Bell. He's off the mark straight away as well. Darlington, good morning.
good morning Tito.
Interesting, we talked yesterday just about the surface being possibly a little bit slow. We talked about fielding positions, catching in front of the wicket, and today we've seen that first up.
Yeah, we did see Teresai Sakanda was dropped, caught and bowled, driving. There is actually evidence that it's a little bit slower than you think, so you are going to get a lot of catches in front, or some catches anyway, in front of the wicket. So this kind of makes sense. It's just now a question of bowlers bowling enough in the right places to make those fielders, to create chances at those fielders.
Does the scorecard tell us how many runs behind? Tarim Sakanda was very comfortably coming onto the front foot, playing those on the up, of course, early doors today. But just circumspect in the manner in which he played that ball, and it's because of those two men catching in front of the wicket. Because of that, he can't just afford to come forward and play a comfortable drive at that ball.
And that fielder is useful because we know that Sakanda's natural instinct is to attack the bowling. And you're going to force him to try and look into other areas to find those attacking shots. So it's actually quite useful to have. So that fielder himself might not actually take the catch, but he creates change, forces Tadum Sakanda to think, change the way he thinks, change the way he plays, and then hopefully then create a chance in another area of the ground.
First over of the morning done, 112 for 1. From the city end. Not a big turner of the ball, Darlington. One of his main attributes is the accuracy that he's got. You'll find that his rise in club cricket many years ago and then into franchise cricket, played a lot for the Mountaineers before moving to the Eagles, was in the shorter version because of that ability to continue to land the ball in a good area. Although he doesn't get it to turn much on this surface, you'll expect possibly towards the end of today into tomorrow, he'll begin a little bit more purchase. But otherwise, it's the accuracy that has earned him colours to rise in his career domestically.
You also know that there are other tricks and little ideas that he could learn that make a very accurate bowler look slightly more attacking. Just varying the speed at which you deliver it, the position in the crease that you deliver the off spinners from, can all add just enough variation to make you a lot more difficult to play and actually induce error in the batting. So there's a lot of, you don't have to be a big turner to take wickets in Melbourne form cricket. Yeah, well, you can really definitely see that their plans have changed from yesterday. It's just interesting that on field they weren't able to make those decisions. That it seems like it was a coaching decision because we noticed these things today up here. But yesterday, I'm sure in the field you could have noticed that. Okay, well, do we need 3 slips through this? Where are the opportunities going to happen? And made the changes on field, which
That is a beautiful shot from Musakanda. And that one is a genuine half volley. You could see at the last moment, because of that catch in front of the wicket, just had to wait and open the face a little bit to get it to his left and then pass the man on the right. And that's a really, really good shot from Musakanda all along the ground. First boundary of the morning. Just to go back to what you were talking about, Darlington, in terms of adapting in field places. I think I felt the same yesterday. It's very easy, in particular in 4-day cricket, because you see a lot of slips, gullies, gaps in the covers. You can have those fields if one, your bowlers are bowling well enough, and two, if conditions are conducive to such. Yesterday we already saw from the toss electing to bat first Harare Sports Club on day one tells you that it's not the normal Harare Sports Club surface. It's a pity that after batting first, the Northerns didn't quite get the runs that they should have. But two, it then tells the fielding captain as well that, listen, it may not be that surface where I can afford to have 3 slips for the first 25, 30 overs. And a gully. Maybe I need to move one of those out, put him in a catching position in that cover area. Just give a bit of protection, make the batsman think before he can just flash through that offside. Wide. Ryan Burl, thick outside edge. And that'll go down to the third man boundary for his first boundary of the morning.
a rather uncharacteristic shot given the way he played yesterday. Wasn't quite full enough, I think, for him to play that shot safely. He's just thrown their hands at it and gotten away with it.
Change in the field now. Manuel's at fine leg. Has come to extra cover on the ring. 2 gullies going because of that last shot. Left alone this time on Ryan Burl. I like this, Darlington. Just, talking about being proactive, and I think so far today we've seen that different changes in the fields, catches in front of the wicket. One goes wide of the man in gully. They put 2 men in that gully area. Just a bit more proactive this morning, which is important in particular in this format of the game. Left again. Clear plan by Masuku to wide outside that off stump to Ryan Burl. defensive field early on to the off spinner. Two men catching on the onside. One just next to the bowler, Wesley Madevere. The other Luke Jongwe, the straight mid wicket. There's a long on back as well as a cow corner. Backward square leg. Not deployed. Saying to Msakanda, if you want to get that single down to long on, make sure that you're getting to the pitch, hitting the ball along the ground in between those two. Just tried it on that occasion, well fielded. Madevere.
And that's the other thing, we were talking about how he's not really a big turner, but you can actually create pressure by being creative in the fields you set to a bowler of this sort. So this is actually, in my opinion, a very, very good ploy to try and create a wicket here. That's a really good shot. It's just been bowled a little bit too short, and allowing Sakanda to give himself a little bit of room to the leg side to hit that ball through the offside for an easy 2 runs.
Yeah, that's the wrong line from Fudza. He's just got the 2 people fielding in front of square on the offside, so he's got to make sure he doesn't give him that ability to hit through that offside. In particular off that back foot. Just got to go a little bit straighter. 32 gone, 125 for 1.
About there. At the end of last over, he was just about maybe 15 centimeters, 30 centimeters too wide. But it's just, what you want to try and do is force him to play a straight bat shot. I think that's where you'll get those, that fielder at short cover, and then those 2 fielders in the gully, you bring them into play. And I think that is actually the perfect line, about 30 centimeters outside off stump.
Better, good length, good carry through to the keeper. I have to agree with you there, Darlington. Ryan Burl, although we know him as a really patient batter, you can tell from the score that he's on now, he's taking his time, no rush. 42 from 89 deliveries. But he is one, if you keep him quiet outside that off stump, like any other batter, can slash at it and give an opportunity.
Or just maybe have a feel at it, you know what it is? Because it just a little bit straighter from there, you've still got to leave it, don't you? Another, let's say, 10 centimeters straighter, you've still got to leave it. But it can look like it's a lot closer after about 5 or 6 overs of balls in a certain area. And I think those are the sort of little subtle changes that create a cause a batsman who's well set, he's in to make some mistakes.
So the last over, bit wide as you say from Ernest, but he's got a plan. You can see that this over, he's been really good. But the key is ensuring that you can do that over and over again for a period of time. If you get that a little bit too full, you get it a bit short and wide, and he gets a boundary. That pressure that you're trying to create is released. So it's so important to make sure that skill factor is at a level where you can continue to do this over and over and over again. That's fine. I think they've got the field set for that. A little bit overpitched. There's a man catching. If it goes past him, we've got a guy to recover on the ring. Anything else, there's a man on the boundary at backward point. And there he is there. So, protection and outfield. I think that's the way to go this morning. Ask Humphrey to go to like a position. Another couple to Tarim Sakanda. Boundary, actually. Fulton's just got to make sure he stops them scoring through that offside.
You know, Tino, just while Tino and I were off between the overs here, we're thinking, I think Mufuta's got a ball a little bit slow, and I think that last ball is actually the right pace. Because it's a lot harder to control as a batter anyway, to control a slower delivery. Because if it's quite quick, you can just punch it into gaps off the back foot and off the front foot. But then when a ball is slower and flighted, you've got to really wait for it and really get to the pitch of the ball before you can actually hit through the line. So I think, yeah, that's the sort of pace I think Mufuza should be bowling. 106 after 129 for 1 after 34.
That's it. Ernest Masuku has certainly come and settled into an area, and you can tell that he's thought about what his plan is for today. Yesterday, it didn't come across to me as if he had a plan, and if he did, he most certainly didn't stick to it. Today's been very different this morning. It's Ryan Burl anyway. Reminds me of the time when Alan Donald came to coach at the Mountaineers a few years ago, and he spoke in particular of 4-day cricket, and he was talking about the 18 not ball factor. He wasn't talking about from one bowler, just in general. You should see the number of times a chance is created when you have 18 dot balls in a row in 4-day cricket. Of course, he wasn't saying that every time you bowled 18 dot balls that you would, create a chance, but most certainly gave you the edge and more of an opportunity to do that. Hundred 30 for 1.
You made a very interesting point there about Alan Donald and his 18, you said 18 dot balls. I think for that to work, Mfuza has to figure out how he's going to control Sakande, because it's not really about, I suppose, getting him out in this particular run of play, but just stopping him from scoring as freely as he's been scoring. And his line and his length becomes so important, because the clearest scoring opportunities for Sakanda have been when a ball is short, because the true nature of this wicket allows him to skip away to the leg side and hit through the offside when it's short. But I think now he's figured out that line. He's been very, very good about keeping the ball leg stump and actually just outside leg stump, forcing Sakanda now to find scoring opportunities through the leg side. And I think this is where the control is going to come from.
Yeah, that one just a little too straight, but he certainly realised, Darlington, that Tari was scoring freely through that offside when he was giving him just a little bit of room and some length as well to play with. So it's good that he's realised that, and as you say, attacking the leg stump a lot more. I think he's got that field set quite nicely. It's not all that easy for Msakanda to get that ball away through that onside, even just for the single. Good ball to finish the 36th over, 131 for 1. Sakanda, field set. Ideally, and that's what you were talking about. If you can manage to get that extra cover in the right place, Darlington, it makes it very, very difficult for Sakanda to keep crashing that ball through the covers to the boundary. Man back as well at backward point. And that can begin to force, get him to try and force the ball, as you were saying, to try and get the runs that he would have been getting had the field been set differently. There's the man at extra cover, probably a good 10 or 15 yards a bit further back than he normally would be. Can come with the fielder. And you see what that's forced him to do with that delivery. Before, he was crashing those straight through extra cover, where that man now was. What he did there was open the face into the gap because he's realised, I'm not going to get the runs past that man at extra cover. So good cricket all round, well set field. Sakanda realizing that I'm not going to get it past there. Might as well open the face, take the single into the gap.
It's a chess game, isn't it? You've got to kind of make Sakanda play the way you want him to play. You know what I mean? And you've got to force him to be content with getting one run here and one run there and no boundaries at all, as the safest option. Otherwise, he's not going to make it. If he tries to force it, then it's to your advantage as the field inside. So it is. You've got to sort of outthink him because the facilities, in essence, the way the wicket is playing, aren't giving you the sort of pace, bounce, and movement that you need to say, get guys caught behind, sneak guys off. And so you've actually got to now create pressure in different ways. And this is actually, for me, very, very smart cricket. And it's going to be the sort of cricket you have to play on flat Asian wickets, isn't it?
132 for 1. It's nicely played from Sakanda. Just lost his radar a bit the last couple of deliveries. Tapuya Mfudza. And that one was easy to maneuver past that man, just to the left of mid-off because it was so full. And he got his length right and pulled it back a little bit. Almost guarantee that Mfudza wouldn't have been able to get to the pitch and just maneuver it to the left of mid-off. 132. Now the partnership between these two. Look for two and they'll get it comfortably.
Yeah, how Mfudza bowls here in this particular round of play is so important. If you can't actually control the the two batters who are in right now, it becomes important then to find somebody who actually can. Because at the moment he's just not bowling well enough to build enough pressure to induce a false shot.
Masuku not happy with that delivery, just gesturing to the captain. And, sorry, didn't quite get that right. It was definitely wanted it a little bit further outside the off stump, shorter in length.
It's always very interesting. You were just talking about that ball that was too full and too straight. Say Sakanda ordinarily would have put that away, it would have been 4 runs, but it's just the play before that. He's automatically starting to go towards what I'd say called fourth stump, looking to play and attack those balls a long way outside of stump. And so he wasn't quite in the position. He was a little off balance and wasn't in a position then to hit that last ball for 4. It's always interesting how these tactics affect the way the batsman actually ends up playing.
That ball called. I know Chubby. Other than that, it was a perfect delivery. Hard into length. Carry. 4th or 5th stump. Produced a desired stroke from Sakanda. They kept relatively quiet this morning. Falls to the quick single. Quite sharp in the field. Accurate when he picks some throws. And Brian Burr thought twice when he realised who was at mid on. He scored well through that offside today, Sakanda. Fed off those slightly shorter in length and can't even call them wide deliveries. It's just a little bit of room outside that off stump that he's exploiting because there's nobody at backward point. He's played it well. He's not trying to force the ball away, and I think he's done that particularly well. Just making sure he gets it past the man at cover. I mean, he's hit it well enough, he's got a boundary. Otherwise, he's got 2 or 3 every time. Just about a quarter of an hour dives into the morning's drinks break. Just wondering if it's time for a change in the bowling department. Of course, these two have done well. He kept it nice and quiet. Masoko in particular, you were talking off air about him going at 5s plus yesterday. He brought that down to just about 4s today. It's gone well. The gamble is, if you bring somebody in, are they going to bowl as well as these two have? Leading into that drinks break. However, you can only bowl these guys for so long this morning. There are a couple of other options. Of course, Luke Jongwe, Garawa with his left arm. Gives a different option to the captain. With the leg spin of Mafuta as well. 40 overs gone. 143 for 1. Very, very impressive. What I like about this Darlington, there hasn't been a breakthrough, but he's been consistent in what he's doing. He's come out with a plan and he's stuck to it and he's executed it. Carry on like this, then they don't run away with the game. The batting side, keep it quiet and keep it quiet for a long time. The war of attrition, I like to call it, between the bat and ball. Who will crack first? Well fielded. Ryan Zinganyama. That short catching extra. And all of this just adds to the pressure, Darlington, that you put on the batsman. He's got a half volley, he hasn't been able to put it away. Starts to think, well, where am I going to score? Next time he gets that half volley, he just tries to hit a little bit too hard, doesn't get his foot in the right place. That comes through a little bit early, and that can create those chances. You were talking yesterday about what are these batters preparing for? They're preparing for next level above this test match cricket, and this is the kind of testing bowling that they're going to be getting at that level. Really been impressed by the way Ryan Burl has structured his innings. A bit of preparation for test match cricket.
He's concentrated hard, hasn't he? He's only played one. For me, that could be classed a bad shot just this morning. Yeah, and he's definitely got a plan, and he's executing his plan.
Big appeal. Mufutsa himself particularly animated. Fostamtis were not interested. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are, Darlington, but for me, that's just an easy single to a long off who's 10 metres back than he should be. I mean, if he wants to go over the top, let him go over the top, and he's got to hit it.
And
To me,
you know what it is to go over mid off. He's actually got to go hit into out. As long as Mufutsa keeps bowling that line, it's actually a very, very complex shot to play. And I think he wants to force a guy to play shots like that.
been
Yeah, this is actually quite funny that you hear the enthusiasm. I think Southerns here know that they've got a method that's working. And so it's interesting that you can hear the very, very vocal support that Masuku's getting here.
Yeah, it's almost that. It's a matter of time, boys. It's a matter of time.
And even that last single for me was a single of almost desperation. Because he's hit it straight at the field, and we know that Mbama doesn't have a very good arm. But even then, it's just straight at a fielder to set up for a single.
They're certainly getting behind the bowler. Out in the middle. Not a commentator's curse word, but this has happened a few times when I've been in the field. Opportunity comes and guys put it down. You don't quite share the same amount of enthusiasm for the next few deliveries, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well bowled. No ball, unfortunately. But, he's impressed me this morning. Masuku. Good disciplines.
Do you know that's the second time I've seen a ball shapen slightly from Masuku into Ryan Bell. It's not very, very late swing, but it's there.
Yeah, just a little. No, I've never really seen him genuinely take the ball away from a right-hander. I think maybe just coming around the wicket. It's more just a bit of the angle really than ball swinging back. I think that one most certainly did swing. Again, Zinganyama. He's pulling the line. Short catching cover. I think the Northerns are just sensing that maybe something can happen just before the drinks break, here, lads. This is probably the last over. For that drinks break. You're right, Darlington. Just a bit of shape. I want to just adjust and try and get his line right when he does that odd delivery to come back into the left-hander. Good session for the Northerns in the field. 43 overs gone, 148 for 1. Sakanda moves on to 90. It's looked good this morning. Ryan Burl has been a rock at the other end, 45 from 130 deliveries. Strike rate of 34.6.
It's all about partnerships, isn't it? I think the way Bill has structured his innings has allowed Sakanda to play the way he's played. It's very, very difficult to continue attacking if wickets are falling at the under end, isn't it? And just having that anchor allows you to play quite freely. And it's allowed him to play to his natural tendencies.
That is a great stroke. That is very, very well played by Ryan Burl. Takes him to his half century. What a way to go there. 51 for Ryan Burl. 132 balls. Just the 5 fours and 2 sixes. And both of those sailing comfortably over that long on area. He plays that area well. And what I really like about that shot is all morning he's been very circumspect. He's played his defensive strokes. And this time he's just decided I'm going to come down the wicket, and he's done it late. Hasn't given the bowler the opportunity to see, telegraphed his intentions. $155 for 1.
So we've had a bowling change at the golf course end. Really good bit of fielding at the deep point boundary. Just a loosener there from Luke Jorwe. But in essence, it looks like they're using exactly the same. They've set him the same sort of conditions that they'd set Masuku before him.
And that's what I was just saying. I mean, we call it a loosener, fair enough, you can come and do that. The question in the captain's mind would have been, is a change of bowling going to release the pressure that's being created? At the same time, I can't have Masuku bowling 8 overs on the trot because I've only got 3 seamers. I've got Ngarava, I've got Jongwe, and I've got to make sure that I keep him as fresh as possible. 157 on the board, lead of 70 odd I think now, and just 1 wicket down, so a lot for the captain to think about. with his bowling changes. Jungwe has the skill and the quality to bowl to a field set like this. Seen him do it before, and do it effectively. .45 overs gone. 158 for 1.
Can you find me Tim Semaro? I think he's at slip here. And then I'm going to choose up on a change it, Tino. Looks like Mufunza's coming round the wicket to Tersem Sakanda. It makes it a little bit easier to hit that line around leg stump, doesn't it? And makes it a lot harder to get those drives through square, through the offside.
It does, but I think it also allows them to access square on the onside a lot easier. He's not getting a lot of turn, so he won't be pitching the ball on off stump to turn back into the right hander. He's probably looking to pitch it Midland leg stump. If he gets it wrong, it's a very easy kick away. But I think it's easier now for Sakanda just to access that onside. However, I've seen Futa bowl a lot, and he actually has the ball that just goes straight across. I know he doesn't turn the ball, but he's got an arm ball that quite often just goes across the right hander, and he can get nicks that go to slip from there. So interesting. Good to try something different. Had a few overs over the wicket. Hasn't brought him any joy.
So you don't think that arm ball would also be a little more effective from around the wicket? I mean
definitely with the angle, especially if you're getting a guy just playing on Midland leg stump, and you do get it to go away. But the surface, whether it'll allow for the ball to kind of skid on, which is what you need, I'm not sure. And it would have pitched outside the leg stump. 46 gone, 158 for 1. different approach to the left-hander from Zimbabwe. Masuku for his entire spell this morning was around the wicket. Zimbabwe opting to stay over, to take the ball across the left-hander.
Well, it makes sense that he'd stay over because for me, bowling around the wicket to left-hander is a skill you've got to actually acquire. You've got to spend do it quite a lot in nets before you can do it competently out there. And if you've not really prepared, it's difficult for you to know to find out the actual lines you've got to bowl. And as long as he can sort of stay in that kind of area around that line, about maybe 15, 20 centimeters outside off, he should be able to get the same similar results to Masuku.
I'll tell you what, Luke Jumbo's got a lot less hair on the top of his head than I saw a couple of years ago. Now I've lost a little bit on the top of mine, but I think if I was in a 2-horse race with Luke Jumbo at the moment, I'll be far behind.
That's about right.
That's well bowled. It's a good set from Jongwe. 158 for 1.
It's been interesting little in the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes. Fielding side has gotten very, very animated. And for those of us who've been watching a lot of cricket on TV, as I do, we've been watching cricket to empty grounds, empty stadiums. And who needs a crowd if you have teammates like these?
Yeah, the new norm has affected different players and different nations differently. For some nations allowing people into stadiums, in Australia with some packed numbers, a few people in India of late. It's just interesting in that first series that happened. It was the West Indies to England when I think it was Stuart Broad who said that the crowd really just spurs them on. imagine 25, 30,000 people with a new ball for your country. Backs against the wall, a couple of wickets that will most certainly give you a little bit of energy to do a bit better. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to watch some cricket from those two stands, but I can tell you what, when there's a shorter cricket going on at Royal Sports Club, those two are very festive. Castle Corner, just behind. We hope that the cricket lineup in Zimbabwe this year, that those stands will have a few fans later on in the year. Another quiet over from Mufudza. This is good running. Very good running. Sakanda hit that. I thought it was just going to be one. Weary of the fact that the fielder took his time to get to the ball. Pulled back for two very quickly. Takes him to 96. Called for two again. This time he'll get two again relatively comfortably.
Luke Jongwe looks like he's not quite found the correct length to go in the manner that like Masuku did. And Saganda has, in my opinion, gotten through the 90s too easily. I would have liked to have made it very, very hard through these 90s for him. But it's basically only taken him 10, 12 balls to get from 90, from sort of 89, 90 to 98. So there's been no pressure on him in this period as he's moving towards his 100.
Now, is that going to take him to 100? He's looking for two. He's turned back and he'll get back comfortably. Tarim Sakanda has batted particularly well once again. Takes him to 100. I don't think he's aware of that yet himself. But it's been a good knock. In quick time, 153 balls. He's taken his time this morning. Scoreboard tells us 99. Too much excitement here, Darlington. There it is. There it is. Another 100 for Tarim Sakanda. 100 in the first practice match. Another 100 in the second. And it's been a wonderful performance from him. Surely now a stake to claim in the national test side. He's worked hard. He's scored consistently throughout from when the National Premier League started late last year, showing the true quality that he possesses.
Sensational cover drive there from Ryan Burr. Is it going to go all the way? A really good, brilliant bit of fielding at the long off boundary. It's just 3 runs. That was a really high quality cricket shot. He was just saying, that he's probably really staked a claim for a position in the test side. The ultimate proof of his worthiness for that would be to score a really, really big 100, double 100 here. Because there is time. Anyway, it's the end of the 49th over. 169 for one. Easy single down to the long on. I think we're starting to see the scoring rate has risen since the drinks break. I've seen a couple of boundaries, a 6 in basically in the last 5 or 6 overs. And, I wonder if this is a deliberate ploy by these 2 batsmen. Comes down the wicket and good ball from Filter forces him to defend. $170 for 1 after 50. That's a sensational shot. That's 4 runs. It's just been given a too short and too wide from Luke Jongwe, and Talim Sakanda has played a beautiful square cut just in front of square for 4. Luke Jongwe this morning has struggled to actually really find a length where he can contain Sakanda, who's scored quite freely off him. Quick single to extra cover. Dot ball to Ryan Bill. He's had a lot more success, I think, bowling at Ryan Bill. He's found the correct areas, the right lengths at him, but has really struggled this morning at Tadasam Sakanda, where he's just bowled a little bit too short and too wide at him, or also a little bit too full and too wide at him. So Sakanda's been scoring fairly square of the wicket on the offside. That's a good one to finish. 176 for 1 after 51. the end of a very good over from Mufuta, 176 for 1 after 52. Ryan Bros walks across the stumps to try and find some runs on the leg side. Stifled appeal for LBW. We've driven this ball well at him. He's bowled a really, really good line and a good length at him. He's felt he's been forced to try and find runs somewhere else. Great shot. Found that gap just to the right of man at mid-off on his 4 runs. 180 for 1 after 53. That's another really, really good shot. Ryan Gross run down the wicket to Mfudza and hit him long way over long on. It's the third time he's played that shot to Mfudza in this inning so far. And it's really, really, really in control of it all the time he plays it. He's played it. Been a bowling change at the golf course end. John Wade's 3 of his bowlers come to an end. Replacing him is Wesley Madewere.
Wesley, decent right arm off spin bowler. Few overs under the belt. A couple of the one-day matches he's played, as well as in the T20s. More than handy. There's an extra spinner. Probably expect Wesley to get just a bit of purchase if there is any assistance. Short guy really does put action on the ball to get it 20 yards down from him. But in general, you'll find that he'll probably just have a little bit more on the ball than Mfudza.
So it looks like he gives it a little bit more time in the air. Football is a little flatter than Madewere does.
Yeah, he's got to give it a little bit of air to get it that far down with his height, I think, Darlington. It's just a bit taller, and I think more suited to one-day cricket, so he's got to bowl a bit flatter in white ball stuff. But you're right, Wesley's definitely not afraid to give that ball some air. Good set, 188 for 1. threatening. Just looks to me like Northerns are more waiting for something to happen as opposed to grabbing the ball by the horns and trying to make things happen. So I'm just getting the line wrong with Fudza. Helped on its way. $192 for one.
Through the shot. Just tried to hit it a little too hard. Another very good ball from Zimbabwe. That's a really good ball.
A bit of purchase from the surface. Like I said, he does have the ability to do that. Wesley Madevere, 57. Over's gone. 193 now for one. And I think a lunch will be called, and it is by Boston Bizwa. So it's been a really good session for the Southerns batsmen this morning. Zooming on 110 for one. They've taken their score to a very respectable 193 for one. No wickets lost in that session. Reached the defences of the two batsmen. So at lunch then, still 9 wickets in hand. Good partnership between Ryan Burl and Musakanda continues. The Southerns still trail by 42 runs, and the players are going to take lunch. Don't go away. Join us in about 35 minutes time for the post-lunch session.